Hello and welcome. Day number 4, month number 7, year 2018, almost coming to a conclusion. I'd like to welcome you to the Money Charts channel. My name is Derek. Like always, all investment risk decisions you take is within such for yourself, your own risk, own reward. For myself, risk reward, portfolio management, always job numero uno, number 1. Welcome. And let's start off within Stellar Lumen. I'm going to talk about a few other ones. I'm going to talk about psychicness as well. I know it's real. I know the situation's in place. I've had real experiences. And when I talk about theta, I'm going to be referring to that of Psychic White Dove, or Ms. White Dove. This market on the 18 or on the daily time frame was going down. Now it's going sideways, but it seems as if just maybe a lot of these markets are getting ready to get going. I like when I look at this on, say, a 400-minute crossed with Bitcoin. Market makes a move up to this high, thus a good leg higher from this major level of resistance. Look what happened before it. An inverted head and shoulders pattern. Look at the strength it was showing here amongst the 18 highs, and no surprise this leg occurred. How did it digest those gains? Well, this is magnificent on how the correction has manifested itself. Coming to the 18 lows, the next couple of periods getting right back to the highs and just basically staying within it for the last little while. Just a beautiful situation. We can see within the 1 hour how after going down towards its bottom, and it makes this level here, and now it's doing well within the 18 as well. So it looks as if markets like this seem to be ready to go, possibly for a leg higher. Where would I suspect the leg? I'm not going to calculate Fibonacci, but I'm going to go over the 3 little bears scenario. Where did the market come from? The 3 little bears scenario is with the porridge, with the comfortness of a bed or whatnot. It's got to be just right, not too little, not too small. So in this case, not too high, not too low. Having a move up here would just be too low. If we come back to where we come from, and here I can see somewhere around here, that would be where I would expect maybe just something right. I mean, this would be a little too high. I mean, it's going to do what it's going to do, that be in the market. And no matter how smart you think you may be, no one is smarter, bigger than the market. No one's richer than the market. The market is basically king. But as a participant, how can you ensure that you are going to do well, as so many people will? So many people are going to struggle as well. That's the nature of the game. Let's take a look at some other codes. Because something like Zen, which was going down, it's been going sideways, had major support established here, hasn't broken it. It's got some resistance established in this area too, but is it looking to break out above it? We look at this, say, on a 400-minute time frame itself. You see this 5 hours 17 minutes. It's early in the period, but it has made a move to get above this range, looking to break out. A lot of these markets are starting to look phenomenal. And you see something like this, you see a move that's made it up to this resistance point and further acceleration. So that's a change in the trend, which has been resisting at around the 270, 280 something handle. So that is Zencash. Then you got codes like ADT, ad token, which were in a long constant downtrend. And the market's going to do, again, what it's going to do. I don't like it when it does this, because I buy, and I rarely ever get to sell. But you know what? So be it. I can't do anything else. I realize when these markets go, they can go up pretty fast. And it's in a situation within stuff like this where I see, ooh, what's this? This has had a nice little run on the 400-minute time frame. It's starting to have a nice build above the 18. Might want to see it correct a little bit, but if so, I see it already establishing nice resistance, what seems near the 280s, high 280s level. And oh, on the single hour, now I can get a good picture, a better picture than I did on the 400-minute. I see support has been big within the 18 on this one. And after this wild move yesterday in the PM session, it comes back to the band, has another move up to this high, albeit a lower high. So far, so good in correcting the 18. If you see that it breaks below this and is holding, maybe you could be a little bit concerned that it's going to have an intraday, or it's going to retrace within this time frame. Of course, always when you have a good move, you expect at some point like this that you got to break the 18, and that when you do, you're going to have look for a higher low, Fibonacci retracement, all that stuff. But the message of the market is bullish, and it's not a surprise that this gets green movement higher, breaks above, and then maybe has probably would break the resistance of between 284 and 295, and then you look for an upside target here. This would probably, I'm not going to calculate, you'd probably best to do Fibonacci, but you'd probably be looking at about, this thing can just fly into like, I would say 360, because the best place in looking at where it came from, given that it just went straight down like this, would probably be about this area in here. And this is again ADT. Let's move on. You got codes like Strat, and this one, after getting into the 18, has been consolidating within the 18 highs. On the 400-minute time frame, correctionary move within this after a decent leg higher. So when you see this, it's going to have some weakness in the 1 hour. There was a weakness in here. And again, a situation in which you retrace to a key point after this move. This was like more than a 38.2% down move, but it's rallied since this point, the lower high. Decent sized red candle down. So you're either setting up that failed breakdown, fast move higher, resumption of the bull market. And the reason I would say that, let me just fix that, is that the two scenarios I kind of see in this situation would be something like, will end up being successful support. But if it does something like, say, like this, I'd be looking at this as that failed move before something happened. And coming up to here, it wouldn't surprise me if it had a really, really good move towards such. But when I see it as it plays out, and it's already had the one move lower, that with this level of support, if it ends up doing something, showing resistance at the 18 and rolling over, at a period like this, I'd be very, very cautious that this thing is probably going to break the support and maybe test some other previous areas, like somewhere around, well, where the line is in 38 number. And we got codes like SLS, Salus, in which has had a good move today, breaking above this. But look at this on a single hour time frame. This has just happened. Decent size volume. Clearly breaking this level of resistance. Now you want to see support find itself in the 387 up to the 408 level. It's managed to come to really the highest resistance point it's had, other than this one really quick move, since the markets came down. So that would be very interesting. But even on a shorter term level, you come back, maybe you come up to 44 again, hang in there for a while, you break it. That would be a normal market movement. But a lot of codes looking as if they're going higher. SNT has been doing really well lately. It's went from the handle of about 875, now well over 1300. Codes like DGB, Gigabyte. It has been going up since the 23rd. Is this one of the early movers? For, I've talked about the game, if you will, where you have one turn and the other person passes the dice. Magic the Gathering. Games like Risk, although that's not a single player game, but the idea that you do, and Risk's a good scenario, because if you play that game, you could have a super short turn where you roll the dice like once or twice and it's over. And then you have a long term where you roll it like 30 or 40 different times. That's why I like to use Risk as a situation. But same with Magic, because you can do a lot of things on one turn, or a few things in one as well. So I like that analogy for markets. It looks like the Bulls, the up team, are in good control of this turn right now. And this is Theta. I can only get a few periods on here, but I see it consolidating within the 18. It had its rally from June 24th. It had some few periods getting above the 18. It's consolidating in there really aggressively, but cool. It looks nice. It looks more bullish than anything, but getting out above the 27, 24. Maybe it'll go up. Maybe a psychic will know. And of course, I'm referring to how popularity, I think, within JSnip4 is on the channel with Psychic White Dove talking about this. And I'll give it a shot. I'm playing this coin, obviously. And I've had psychic moments where I've had loved ones pass away and someone, like a person whom is psychic or that of a clear, or has been able to contact with the ones that have passed on, where I've had loved ones passed on, and then a couple 3 days after such, she's saying stuff that there's no way she could know, even saying stuff like this is where something is, and sure enough that's where it is. I've seen crazy stuff. Even myself, I had an amazing experience in May of 2007, almost as if some powerful energies from the unknown said, hey Derek, we're taking you for a few days, and those few days was about 7 or 8, and a lot of cool experiences happened. It was normal for me to do things like get up from an area where I was in my bedroom, walk up to my cell phone, which was completely dead in battery, pick it up, look at it for about 2 seconds, the phone starts ringing, I have a friend come over and says, I'm on my way over. How am I supposed to that stuff like that would happen? I'd look outside a certain area for about 1.5 seconds and I'd see a bolt of lightning pretty much go in the exact area where I needed to be looking. Magnificent stuff. But around that time as well, I was in an area where, or a situation spiritually, where I felt as if, I don't know if I was getting readings of what was happening. I almost felt as if I was creating this. I don't know if I was, or if it was the first or whatnot. But Sidney Crosby, who is a hockey player for the Pittsburgh Penguins, I had this envisionment that in a big situation, he was going to get this big knee injury, and he's just going to it's going to be bad for him. I don't know why this image came. It's almost like I felt like I felt so bad. I'm thinking, did I just create like devastation to Crosby in the spiritual state? So I tried to just do what I needed, and then everything felt so good and everything was so glorious. And then a couple years or close to it thereafter, in a big Stanley Cup final game, he has a very tough watching knee injury that takes him out for some time of that game. He comes back and he wins the Stanley Cup. So I thought that was just incredible. Within the theta chart, we're having this sideways movement. Thus, when we look at this on the daily, it's not too sure what to do. But are these the early indicators? Because when you see coins that have already had good gains, they're the ones that, if you're trying to find in positions, that may not be quite as good as the ones that, of course, are going to be the more, I'm not going to say late goers, but the original goers. Because when you have the turns of bulls have a week or 4 weeks or 8 weeks or 16 weeks or whatever, and the bulls have their turn. Well, I look at this as in, maybe it looks as if the bulls are having their situation where things would be looking up, which means all the alts are probably going to be going up. And for me, after having a lot of buy orders fill in the last greater than 2 months, I've been noticing that I'm doing a lot more sell orders lately, and I kind of like that. So I guess I hope that the markets are going to go higher like this, because it's fun, and I like to spend cryptos. So if I can be able to realize, oh my goodness, I made like these 4, 5, 6 trades, maybe it makes me 2,000 when it's all said and done, just the trading itself, let alone your portfolio. That makes it be like, oh, I wanted to buy this for like 1,200 or whatever, and I can buy it with cryptos. And that's just fun to do, to be able to realize that as a trader you can make gains, which is almost like getting free things along the way, like you're playing a video game. Oh, I am playing a video game. And you're able to accomplish things with the points that you get from such. Thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.